Hey folks, it's Man once again, and welcome back to another review. And now we get to one of my favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme films. Not just for nostalgia, but I will admit a nostalgia part of me does play on this. And my second favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme film, my first one being that film back there, Hard Tardy, which I'll talk about on my birthday coming up on the 25th. But before then, I had to talk about my second favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme film, and that is Cyborg. Kind of a lazy cover. I wish it was the VHS cover. I like the VHS cover. But still, I love this film. It came out in 1989, one of the early Jean-Claude Van Damme films. And when you think of the early Jean-Claude Van Damme films, this is the one that got hated on the most. Although nowadays it gets a 5.0, which for me I would put higher, but started by Albert Pyun, which this guy's made a lot of shit. He's made a couple films I enjoy. The Sword and the Sorcerer, which I haven't seen in forever. Nemesis, which I reviewed. I enjoy that film. Dollman, I enjoy that film. But there's a lot of films. The Nemesis sequels, 2, 3, and 4 were atrocious. He did Kickboxer 2, which I hated. They did another one of those, and he's doing a new Kickboxer with Sasha Mitchell. I don't know why. And he did a film called Knights, which had some decent ass kicking, but wasn't great. Captain America was fucking awful. I ranted on that movie. You watch his stuff nowadays, I've seen people on YouTube make better movies than the guy does. I don't know what the deal is with Albert Pyun, but he's made a lot of horrible shit. But this is my favorite of his. And it stars Jean-Claude Van Damme, also stars Vincent Klyn, or maybe it's pronounced Vincent Klyn, as Fender, which they dub his voice, which I'm glad, because I've seen other films with him in it, and his voice would not have fit the character, so the voice they put on the bad guy Fender, I thought was the perfect voice. I don't know who the actor is that's the voice, but I thought it was perfect. Made Fender that much more memorable of a villain to me. Definitely one of my favorite villains that Van Damme faced off. Granted, not much of a fighter, but presence nailed hook, line, and sinker. And this was a Canon Films movie. So you have that Canon logo at the beginning of the film, that great Canon logo. Now, from what I understand, the idea behind this film is, at the time, Canon, they wanted to make a sequel to He-Man, and they wanted to make the Masters of the Universe or Dolph Lundgren, and they wanted to make a Spider-Man movie. And I think they wanted to do it back-to-back. I know at one time Joseph Zito was going to do Spider-Man, and I think at this point they had gotten Albert Pyun to direct both of these movies, Masters of the Universe 2 and Spider-Man. And then, from what I understand, the rights to the rights to Spider-Man and He-Man fell through. Mattel and Marvel said fuck off, so they didn't have the rights anymore. So Canon went, well shit, we spent a few $1 million on these sets. We gotta really make some money real quick. What are we gonna do? We got this director. So pretty much, well, let's make a movie. Let's make a movie real quick, like. And it's like, really? Yeah, let's make a movie real quick, like. Sorry, moving some stuff. You don't write for the weekend, Albert Pyun. You don't write the script on a weekend. It's going to cost under $500,000, and then when you shoot the film, it's going to shoot for around 20-some days. Albert Pyun wanted Chuck Norris, but Menem Golan said, no, there's this guy, we did this movie Bloodsport, use this new guy, Jean-Claude Van Damme. And so then you had Cyborg. For a film that was written on a weekend, that was made to get some money back, which it did. It cost less than $500,000 and made over $10 million, which is a pretty good size hit for Canon. And for a film that cost less than $500,000, it's a pretty damn good movie. I think it's a damn good movie in and of itself, but for $500,000, less than that, it's pretty damn good. But this film just speaks to me. This film just puts all the right buttons to me. It's fast-paced, for me at least. It's without the end credits, it's an hour and 20-some minutes. Van Damme is a man of few words, and I think Van Damme at this point, even he knew that he wasn't much of an actor, although I don't mind him. I really never minded him. But he himself, he said in interviews that he knew that he'd have to act more with his body than with his acting ability. But I think he did. I'm fine with him. I've never had a problem with him. I just know other people did. I like to see, it was cool to see Jean-Claude Van Damme in a post-apocalyptic movie, because that's what it is. It's a post-apocalyptic film. There's been this plague that's wiped out a shitload of people. And now it's just the remnants. Van Damme is this guy known as a slinger, type of guy who will get people out of the city. Fender leads these groups, which they call themselves pirates. I know there's a director's cut, which I ranted on it. The link down below will be for the rant I did long ago, and I sold that fucking thing, DVD. I'll probably touch on it at the end of the review, but again, I'll put the link down below where I fully say why I hated the director's cut of this that Albert Pyun released a few years ago now. But this film just speaks to me. It's very simple, it's very straightforward, but there's just a lot of stuff that I enjoy about this. When the fisticuffs happen, they're just really memorable for me. I like the choreography, I like the setting in the ruins of a building or on this field, marsh type of swamp-like area, more like a field where there's water around. Even at the ending with the rain, just feels epic for me. I know I'm only speaking for myself, but that's the point of a review. I love the score by Kevin Bassenson. Bow now, bow now. Bum, 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 bum. I'm doing a shitty job at just. I like the score, especially in the scene where they're running through that field, being chased by the pirates. I like the story of Van Damme's character, the little backstory. I like the way it was told. You see glimpses of flashbacks, and I absolutely love the scene because it's a badass, memorable scene where he gets crucified and is on this ship in the middle of fucking nowhere. It's literally the mast of a ship, a derelict ship that's somehow it's beached, so it's in the middle of the desert. On the mast of this ship, he's crucified, he's bloodied up, he's remembering what happens, which is fucked up, which I'll get to, and he just kissed the shit out of the cross he's crucified. Just kissed the shit out of it with his foot, yelling and screaming like a man, and just, I'll get more into that, but scenes like that were embedded in my mind ever since I was a kid. And that scenes like that are reasons why I love this film so much. Hell, the opening, the way it opens, where you have that great narration by Fender, the bad guy, who has these cool-looking glasses, and first there was the collapse of civilization, anarchy, genocide, starvation. Then when it seemed things couldn't get any worse, we got the plague, the living death, quickly closing its fist over the entire planet. Then we heard the rumors that the last scientists were working on a cure that would end the plague and restore the world. Restore it? Why? I like the death. I like the misery. I like this world! She's like, I love this fucking movie, motherfucker! I always love that. From the get-go, I loved it. I like the death. I like the misery. I like this world. I like the voice that they put on Fender. That epic voice. And you have this guy who's with this cyborg, which is where the title comes from, named Pearl Prophet. And this guy's trying to protect her. And I didn't notice it until watching it now, is that there's a scene where the guy looks up and you see a person crucified, but I didn't realize that the top of the guy's head is gone of this person that's crucified. It's like, oh shit. For some reason I never realized that until I'm watching this just now. But the pirates kick his ass, and Fender says, I want it. I want to own the cure. And the guy, go to hell. Kick. Been there. I love the villain. I thought he was a great villain. I know a lot of people hate him, but I thought just a great presence. Not much fighting ability, but a great presence. Which it's hard to find in villains nowadays who have a presence. And again, they picked whoever they got to do the voice of the character, they did a great job picking that guy out. But she gets chased, and also the look of when he takes his glasses off, he has those eyes as if he's a male version of Meg Foster, just the crazy eyes. But the cyborg gets chased, and Van Damme just comes out with that kick out of nowhere that flattens the guy. He slits a guy's throat, stabs another, talks a little bit, finds out she's a cyborg and what the deal is. She's trying to get to Atlanta. She has information for a cure. And the bad guys come in, so Van Damme has to take cover, smash through this door. And Fender comes up, and he goes, I'll take you to Atlanta. You give me the cure. And if you don't, I'll give you the horror show. It shows the head of the guy that she was with. Now, I know this got cut down for violence, and you can tell there's certain cutaways. When I thought there was a director's cut coming, I thought it was going to put back that gore, but it really didn't. I mean, just to talk a little bit about that director's cut, what that director's cut does is put in a lot of boring-ass narration. When Van Damme talks, there's another fucking voice for Van Damme. Like, Van Damme's dubbed over. There's a lot of narration from the Fender character, but it's not the guy who voiced Fender, it's another guy they got. And more pretentious sequences, which I get into in that review down below and the link in the info box. And they cut down fight scenes. When fight scenes happen, they cut fight scenes down in the director's cut. Especially the ending, which I'll get to. But see, this is the better version. I can understand why Sheldon Ledge and Van Damme went in and edited some shit. Re-edited some shit. Canon Film saw and went, what the fuck is this? Van Damme, Sheldon Ledge, yeah, get your buddy Sheldon Ledge, you guys do some shit. And they edited a better movie. The director's cut sucks ass. That's again why I sold it. And thankfully I got more money than what I paid for. But getting back to the movie, I like the look of the film. The way the post-apocalyptic world looks like. The beginning of New York, the map painting, and then when they get to Atlanta, the map painting. For a 1989 film that cost less than $500,000, I like the look. I'm fine with the look. And the ruins of buildings, and there's fires, and the landscape of going through the fields or swamps, or the factory power plant they go to later, or even the wreckage of the place they're at the end of the film when it's in the rain. For less than $500,000, I thought they got some money into this. And I believe they shot in North Carolina. But I thought they used the locations well for the little money they had. That's little money when you're making a movie. I've seen movies that cost $5 million that look dirt cheap compared to this. Some of Van Damme's later films, Assassination Games, I think that cost between $5-10 million bucks. The one where it's all filmed in piss fucking yellow. And this was 10 times better than that fucking movie. It's a 10 times better movie than that fucking movie. Which I'll get into that a few days after the 25th of this month. But I like the look of the film. I'm fine with the look of the film. The way it looks. You know, ruins of buildings and so on. It's not a lot, because they had a little budget, but I thought for the little bits they used, it worked well. I felt like it was a post-apocalyptic movie. I was fine with it. And again, I really enjoy the score to the film. I can't hum it, and I do a shitty job of it, but I like the score to the film. And I will say, I prefer this to the score in the director's cut. The score in the director's cut is not awful. Sorry, I had to scratch my nose. But I prefer the score in this. I think it fits the film. It fits the post-apocalyptic world of the film it's taking place in. And pretty much Van Damme gets out of there, the wreckage. He follows. As he's following, trying to catch up, the bad guys come in, fuck up this village, they burn it, they kill these people, which I thought in the director's cut we'd want to see more of that violence, because I know it was cut out to get an X rating. It had an X rating, it was cut out the DNR rating, but it wasn't put back in the director's cut. I don't know why. So fuck that cut. But yeah, they fuck these people up. Fender grabs this girl that this guy loves, turns around. You get the idea that he slit her throat. Van Damme is trying to catch up. Gets there. This takes place at daytime. He gets there at nighttime, realizes he's too late. There's a person. He throws something at this person. He finds out it's a girl. It's a woman. So he stays there to make sure she's okay. And she wakes up, and ultimately they have a little back and forth, and she decides to join the party. And she was alright. She was there for what she had to do. Got to see her naked, which was nice. And acting-wise, she was serviceable. She was serviceable. You could do a lot better, but I've seen a lot worse. She was serviceable. And this is where you get the inclinations of the flashbacks that go out throughout the film. That Van Damme was taking this woman and who had this little girl and little boy with her. He was a slinger. He was going to take them out to the city. They go out to this house. He falls in love with the girl. She says, hey, why don't you stay here, make a life for your own? He does. One day, Fender and his group got them, put them... You don't get all this in this first flashback, but I'm just telling you right now, I'll just get to that, because I really like the little... It was told... You didn't need long conversations. You didn't need long spouts of dialogue. You didn't need lots of pontificating. You didn't need narration, as in the director's cut, where it's trying to have more narration, I swear, than fucking the original cut of Blade Runner. Or say the first theatrical cut of Blade Runner. You didn't need it. It was told more with action than dialogue. It was neat. It was fine in this movie. It worked out better, honestly. It made it less pretentious and more, to me, epic. When I say epic, I mean that sort of simple... I don't want to say... How some people compare a Western when they look at stuff and epic shots and epic scenes. Even though it's something as simple as someone standing in the rain and just the look on their face and the way the camera, the position it's in. It's hard to explain, but certain shots that I liked in this film. So I give Albert Pyun that much credit at least. But I like this little backstory for Van Damme's character where he got a raw deal. He got fucked over. The woman they fell in love with and the little boy are put into this well. And they have the girl over here with this barbed wire he gives to her, Fender gives her and says, hey, you can save them. Just hold on and you'll save them. So she's trying to hold on, and the barbed wire, of course, is slipping through her, and she can't hold the weight of 3 people. So this barbed wire goes through her fucking hand, bleeding. She's screaming. They fall to the bottom of the well, which then Van Damme is the only one who comes up, and there's always creepy looking shot where they go in the well, and you see the dead woman's body. And Van Damme gets pissed and says, Fender! And that's why he's mainly on this mission to get revenge on Fender. And then ultimately he says, okay, I'm going to help this girl who has the cure to the plague. And this other woman is on the journey with him. And he did a little bit of stuff before they get there. For example, he goes to this place where there's a bunch of people at. This asshole takes this ball from this little boy, and Van Damme hits the guy with the ball and gives the little ball back to the little boy. And there was a scene in the director's cut where it gets to sometime later, and they're being watched, and it gets to sort of the first big action scene where Van Damme's kicking ass. But before that, you get the idea that some of these guys are cannibalistic in the director's cut. And they're feasting on a body, and you realize the bodies of the little boy he had given the ball to. which I'm guessing that got cut out because Canon Films or such went, okay, we're Canon, but it's a little bit too fucked up for us. But okay, I mean, interesting scene to watch in the deleted scene, but am I sad that it's gone? No. I'm fine that it's gone. I didn't need the scene. So if you want to watch the director's cut for that one little scene, go right ahead, because that's all you're getting. And just a lot of pontificating and shitty narration and fights cut down. And you think, oh, you don't see the X-rated gore. Nope, that's not in it. So fuck that director's cut. But you did get to see Van Damme kick some ass, and I just love the way it's choreographed, and it's in this ruin of this building, and before he gets there, he's in the woods, he stabs one guy who's by a tree, he gets another guy and breaks the fucker's neck, he goes up, and he has this cool gun, which shoots, I don't know if it's nails or if it's bolts, but he looked like nails, just shoots him, gets one guy in the neck. Fighting this guy, does this awesome helicopter kick where this spike comes out of his foot. And he does this excellent helicopter kick where it just slices the guy right in the neck. The guy falls into the wall and you see a little bit of blood there. I thought that was a great helicopter kick. That was awesome. And just really badass stuff where he gets another guy, breaks his fucking arm, and he stabs, and he's kicking another guy, grabbing him, kicks another guy, kicks him right off the fucking building. He has a scene where, I think it was a little bit before that, where he has that nice walk, that badass walk, and just kicking ass left and right. Like I said, kicks a guy's ass off the building. And even the girl was able to take one or two guys out. Dre's not kicking 50 guys' ass, but I thought it was well choreographed. He has some really cool movements. And just breaking a guy's arm, helicopter kick with the spike on his foot that cuts a guy's neck, kicking a guy's ass off the building. I really like that kind of stuff. I like that kind of shit. Again, pretty simple. They're waiting for Fender. You get a little bit more flashback of how he was before all this. There's a point where the girl offers herself, see a little bit of titties, but then Van Damme's a good guy, has her cover herself up. Doesn't want her to join him because he doesn't want her to get killed, but she's like, hey, I'm gonna do it anyway. Then Fender arrives and you get into a next action scene where it takes place at sort of a factory, sort of a power plant. And again, just scenes that were embedded in my head ever since I was a kid. For example, this guy pulls out a knife and then they're on this catwalk and Van Damme pulls out a knife and they're both charging each other. And I really like the editing. Van Damme coming in, then the guy coming in, then Van Damme coming in. They're both yelling at each other. They're both charging. They get together. They clash swords. Or I should say their knives. Van Damme blocks it, punches him. Does a nice roundhouse kick right into the fucker's face. Blood spitting. Guy goes up against the wall. Van Damme just puts his leg on his neck, crushes his fucking neck. Another guy's hitting him. Van Damme gets on this rail that breaks open, gets on these pipes. Oh shit, a guy's gonna throw a knife at me. He's shaking it. He does a nice Tarzan swing. Gets his gun out. Boom! 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 Fucks up 3 guys with his nail gun, a bolt gun. Shoots one. Oh shit, there's no bullets. He goes, fuck! Just hits the guy right in the face. Then turns to see Fender and just does that badass walk. Strong, silent. This is, I'm getting so excited. I'm throwing the DVD case. But Van Damme was a man of few words. He was a strong, silent type in this movie, and I was fine with it. I thought he did fine. He has a good presence to him. That's what makes a good action hero. He needs some presence. Okay, this is a guy who's a badass. This is a guy not to fuck with. And I like that. It has that badass walk and then a little bit of slow-mo. People come up to him, he kicks their ass. And with the voice they picked for Fender, I always love it when he swears. He's like, motherfucker! Shoots Van Damme in the arm. A bunch of bad guys come in. I like the shot where Van Damme, well, first off, he sees this girl who's with Fender and realizes that's the girl from back then who was holding the barbed wire. That Fender took her and she's, I guess, forgotten or something. And I always thought there was a cool looking shot where Van Damme throws a knife and then Fender gets out of the way and the knife just, he goes out of there, ponies around bat, fucks up these two guys, or shoots them with his gun, which is a cool looking gun. But then Pearl Prophet is a dumb bitch going, well, Fender, he's stronger than you, and you won't survive the trip to Atlanta. At least with him, I know I'll get to Atlanta. Nothing can stop him in this world, not even you. And when he gets to Atlanta, we'll kill his ass. Not really, because it seems like there's only one other guy in Atlanta other than her when they get to the very end of the film, but that was always one thing. I'm like, you dumb fucking bitch. I was ready for Van Damme to say, you bitch, but he didn't say that. He takes the girl that was with him, who's unconscious now, runs off, and he gets another epic scene. See, that's why I love this film. There's a lot of epic scenes that I remember that just stuck in my craw in a good way. The speech at the end, I love the death. I love the misery. I love this world. The badass 360 helicopter kick with a spike on the foot that hits the guy, and then grabbing the guy and breaking the arm. This scene coming up where they're in the sewers and being chased by a guy, and the guy's looking, and you see up close of Van Damme with this knife, and where's Van Damme? And then a reveal shot where Van Damme did the fucking splits, and he's on top of the guy. The best split scene I've seen from Van Damme is this scene, because he's doing the splits. I know a lot of people mention the Time Cop scene. That's a great scene in Time Cop. But this is when he's doing the splits, this is the one I always remember the most. Because he's on top, on the wall here, and the guy's right below him, in that great area where he's looking up and Van Damme's looking down. He's looking up, Van Damme's looking down. Guy's like, I'm fucked. Phew, 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 right into the guy's face. And granted, we don't see it. And this is one of those films that, yeah, I would like to see more gore. I like to see what the X-rated version was. But I can still watch the film. I can live with it. That's a cool way to kill someone. You have the fucking splits on top of the guy, right in his fucking face. And they get out of there, and I always remember this next scene where him and the girl are running through this. It's a field, but it's a very wet field. There's little patches of water. I don't know if you call it a field or a marsh. Part of me wanted to call it a swamp. It's like a marsh or a field. I thought it was a cool location, which I guess was in North Carolina. I always liked that location. And that's where the music, that's my favorite piece of music in the whole movie, is that place. Doing a shitty job of it, but I really like the score. I thought it fit the film like a glove. And you get that the girl and a female pirate are facing off, and she stabs him while the female pirate slaps her in the face. And you get this fight between Van Damme and this other guy. I know there was a thing where Van Damme accidentally hit a guy in the eye, and then later on the guy sued, and you got a bunch of money for it. Accidents do happen, unfortunately, when you're making an action movie. But I still love the stuff that's going on where the guy has this, I don't know what you call it, this weapon that extends. Van Damme blocks it, takes his knife, and does a swipe, cool backward swipe, right across the guy's face. Which I wonder if that's the scene where that happened. But right across the guy's face. Now, this is always one of the big helicopter kicks that I remember from Van Damme. The one in Hard Target where he pumps the holes. Weird way of saying it. Punch a bunch of holes from a gun. Does that 360 kick to finish the job on Sven Thorsen in Hard Target. And then this one I always remember this 360 kick, this helicopter kick. because they're in the water. There's a great use of slow-mo. And Van Damme, yeah, right, boom, up close, right across the guy's face. Smacked him right in the fucking next ear. Then picks up and does another boom, kick right across the fucker's face. And another guy grabs him and he kicks him in the head, and you get the idea, he broke his neck. Another guy comes up, he stabs him in the stomach. But then it's too many. Then Fender says, get him up. He beats the shit out of Van Damme. And then again, they crucify him on this ship that's on the sand in the desert, middle of nowhere. This is beached ship. They put him on the mast, bloodied up, crucified. They leave his ass there to die. He remembers the memory, which again, that fucked up memory of what happened to him. And he's just kicking the shit, yelling and Fender, just kicking it, just epic. Then when he remembers it full force, and his memory gets out of the well, and he's like, Fender! And just says, fuck it! Kicks the cross, falls down to the ground, thankfully not face first, and this guy just kicked his ass off a cross. And I will not make a Jesus joke because, Jean-Claude, JC, what would JC do? He'd kick his ass off the fucking cross is what would JC do. But I just thought, man, that's an epic fucking scene. This is how badass the guy is. This is how badass the character of Gibson is. That's his first name, Gibson. He kicks himself off a fucking cross that he was crucified on because he was pissed off. That's a fucking hero. That's a fucking badass. They don't have badasses like that anymore. Can you think of anyone who's badass enough to be crucified, bloodied up, says fuck it, kicks himself off the fucking cross? I can't think of any. Yeah, there's one of the reasons why I love this fucking movie so much. I'm so gush, I'll put Cyborg. Love this movie. Because I'm sucking its dick so much. But fuck it. If I'm the guy who's going to love Cyborg, to be the #1 fan of Cyborg, I'll gladly take that mantle. I'll take that #1 prize. I'm fine with it. I'm the #1 fan of Cyborg. There you go, #1 fan of Cyborg, tattooed on my forehead. I'll probably put hard target, and then on the back would be Cyborg. I don't know. #1 fan of hard target, #1 fan of Cyborg. There you go. I just really loved it. And then the girl she's woken up, the woman woken up and cuts the ropes off. And that's where you get that the villain, Fender, and the rest of his pirates and the Cyborg have come into Atlanta. And I don't mind the map painting that they show of Atlanta. Again, for less than $500,000 budget, I'm fine with it. If it was $20 million, I'd be like, what the fuck? But it was less than $500,000. I think it's a budget well used. And it's one of those things where, yeah, if I had to be honest, I would like to have seen a bit more choreography in the final fight. But I blame Albert Pyun for that, and I'll get to that. But you still get some stuff where I like the fact it's in the rain. I like the fact Van Damme shoots an arrow right in front of Fender and his group's feet, pretty much as a challenge. And I would like him not to make such easy work of some of these pirates so quickly, because he comes up and he pretty much slashes a guy on the neck, blocks it, stabs a guy, and then a guy comes and he kicks the guy. And I don't know if he had the spike back on his foot, because I remember it being broken off at one point. But he kicks the guy. I don't know if he killed the guy, or if he stabbed the guy, or what happened. But I think that could have been a little bit longer. A little bit longer of him taking those 2-3 guys out. That's one thing I'll say about it. But I do like the fact where there's a guy who's, I kill slingers, thinks he's the baddest, and Van Damme says, okay, fine. Grabs him, just kicks the shit out of him. Poop, 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 poop. Roundhouse kick, one roundhouse Kit 2, roundhouse kick 3, kick his ass right into a fucking fire. Oh, you're on fire? I'm gonna kick your ass again. And then you don't fall in a car, and then you don't blow up. And then at this time, the woman that joined them, she's fucked up some guys as well. And then you get in the final fight between him and Fender, where Fender's beating the shit out of him. And I liked some of the build-up, where you see up close of Fender, up close of Van Damme, and then them from the side as if an old-fashioned gunfight showdown. Now, Albert Pyun, I will say, this part of the end fight could have been better. And that's because Albert Pyun, what he shot was Van Damme getting his ass kicked 100% of the time. And all Van Damme did was get punched, stab with the knife where it hits Fender's arm, and then gets punched again, and then Van Damme stabs Fender, and that was it. Not the shots of Van Damme punching back. None of the stuff in the shed afterward where he kicks Fender into the hook. None of that was in Albert Pyun's cut. Which I watched the director's cut, I'm like, what the fuck? That's probably why Canon Film saw this and went, what the fuck? And then Van Damme and Sheldon Ledge were like, what the fuck? And, hey, Sheldon, you come in here, let's re-edit some stuff, and let's shoot some additional stuff for this fight. Because during the fight, you have Van Damme getting beat up, thrown into this windshield of his car. The girl that was with Fender, I think the character's name was Haley, realizes, you know, who he is, who Van Damme's character is, and says, stop it. He tries to fuck up Haley. Van Damme kicks his foot through the window of the car and hits Fender's back, which I like. The girl that Van Damme was with tries to kill Fender, but then she gets killed. And I always liked this bit where there's sort of a running joke between me and some friends, like my friend Effrey, where when Van Damme gets out of the car and kicks the door of this car, he yells, Fender! And Fender yells, fucker! So we have this running joke where, Fender, fucker! Because I just like it. The way Van Damme says Fender and the way Fender says fucker, just memorable to me. I know this might sound stupid, but so it's just this running joke just between the two of us. Fender, fucker! So if in the past or in the future you ever hear me say Fender, fucker, or ever say fucker, that's why, because of the way he says it in this scene. I love it. And then sometimes we say Spidey, fucker, just because of the fact that Canon Films around that time were trying to do a Spider-Man movie. It's like, what if Fender was a villain in a Spider-Man movie? You know, Fender would say, Spidey, fucker. So I just let you guys in on the little tidbit. But, and knowing that, I could kind of tell, because when you see the fight that's not in the direct, that was in the director's cut was shit. The way it was done here, you could tell that, okay, Van Damme's being punched, but you see some up close of Van Damme punching Fender, and you tell but that the lighting's a bit different on Van Damme's face. There's a little bit more light. So I don't know if you, a little bit more light on his face. Like when Fender's punching him and it's in the rain, there's not as much light, or not as much like dark, how do I want to say, bright yellowish light on his face. I don't know how to describe it, but I do tell when Van Damme's doing this and he's punching bad, those are additional reshoots. Those are additional photography they had to use, because again, Albert Pyun, in this instance, had a shitty fight, and Van Damme and Sheldon Ledge made it better. And I will say Van Damme and Sheldon Ledge saved the fucking movie, because if it was the director's cut, I would have thought the movie was a piece of shit. But this cut, I love. I like that Van Damme's fighting back and punching it. I'm sure if Van Damme had full carte blanche to choreograph it, it would have been a better fight. But as it is, I like the fight. I mean, I would say I like the fight in Kickboxer better, Bloodsport better, Hard Target better. But I still like the fight. But it could have been better if Albert Pyun didn't fuck it up by, oh no, you're gonna kick Van Damme's ass for 99% of the time, and then the only time he's gonna fight you is when he stabs you in the arm, and then he stabs you, and then that's the end of the fight. I'm thinking, no wonder probably Van Damme and Sheldon Ledge and Cam Films felt that was fucking lame. So hey, let's add in Van Damme actually giving some punches back. Pew, 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 right in Defender's face. So he can have a fighting chance. And then let's add this really kick ass, which makes the fight worth it, where Fender is stabbed in the stomach, but he gets back up, and then they go into the shed. And again, this stuff in the shed is nowhere in the director's cut. Albert Pyun didn't want that. That was not his intention. This is Van Damme, Sheldon Ledge, and such. Which makes the fight worth it. This is Van Damme, after what Fender did to his people he loved, that shit with the holding this girl with the barbed wire and people being dead, Van Damme getting the shit kicked out of him, crucified, this other girl that he was with that joined them is dead. Van Damme getting some comeuppance on Defender, giving him some pain and punishment. You want to see a villain that you love to hate, you'll get some punishment. He does. Just Van Damme, he headbutts him, he twists his arm and gives him a hard kick, grabs his neck, knees him, shoves his head right through the fucking wall, gives him a bunch of elbows, a great fuck you kick, boom, right across the face, into this hook on the wall that hooks on Fender's ass. Oh, well, in his back. Kills his ass. I'm like, yeah, that's a good death. That was a cool scene. Van Damme just kicking the shit out of him. And I agree with Van Damme and Sheldon Ledge. I'm sorry. I agree with them in this instance. That made the fight better. That after all the shit Van Damme went through, he needed some payback onto the villain. The kind of shit Albert Pyun was doing is shit you would see nowadays. Your hero getting the shit kicked out of 90% of the time, he does one or two things. But Van Damme and Sheldon Ledge knew. And that's why Sheldon Ledge, they made better, they made Lionheart, which has a better fight, Double Impact, which has more fights. But this one, let me get into that. So he kills him, gets with the Haley girl from back in the day. The girl he was with is dead. They take the cyborg to Atlanta, and I like the line she says. It may be weird, but maybe he's the real cure for this world. I like the sweet music that plays as the movie ends. And I remember in the director's cut, in that scene, it seemed like there was some sinister going on between the cyborg and this guy who awaits the cyborg at the door. I'm like, what the fuck is this about? But thankfully it's taken out in this movie, which is, again, the better version. But I know I've talked about, God, it's 43 minutes. Fuck it. It's going to be the longest review of Cyborg in the world. That's how much I love the film. I know you're wondering, well, Matt, this doesn't have tons of fights and doesn't have the best end fight. But again, this film just speaks to me. It has memorable sequences that I remember ever since I was a kid that just are epic in my mind. I repeated them, but I like for such a low-budget movie, the locations they used, I thought worked well. I thought it looked like a post-apocalyptic movie on a very low budget. I thought the score fit the film like a glove. I thought Fender was a great presence for a villain, had a great voice to him. I thought the fisticuffs that were there, Van Damme kicked a lot of ass. He kicked a lot of ass fisticuffs-wise. Some memorable, the 360 kicks, he gets to do a couple of them. With the spike on his foot that slashes the guy's neck. In the water, actually this scene right here. There's a great way it's shot. Nice usage of slow-mo at times. I like Van Damme's character's little backstory of what happened to him. And this is a revenge story in a way. This is a revenge story. And the scene with him on the cross is so epic. Just, remembering that and kicking his ass off. Nice comeuppance at the end in the shed. Just kicking his ass and kicking his ass right into a hook. It was simple film. It was a straightforward film. I liked seeing... Jean-Claude Van Damme is one of my favorite action stars. It was nice to see him in a post-apocalyptic sort of sci-fi type of movie. And this is just one of those films that just speaks to me. It just speaks to me every time I see it. I love the idea. I love the simple story behind it. It's sort of an old school fable, in a way. You know, the lone, not quite gunslinger, but the lone guy who tried to have a life and it was taken away from him and he wants revenge. And he kicks a lot of ass with his fisticuffs, his feet. Great scene with the splits, jamming a knife into a guy's face. His gun, nail bolt gun. Memorable villain. Great score. Fun fisticuffs. I thought Albert Pyun did have some nice directorial, some nice looking shots. Again, that split with the leg shot. The ending taking place in the rain was a nice touch. For a low-budget canon film, this film just appeals to me. I enjoy this film, hands down. It's just one of those films that, again, I've repeated this a dozen times, but ever since I was a kid, this is one of the Van Damme films I watched the most growing up. I'm the most fond of growing up. So this film just, the best way I could put it, it speaks to me. Not literally, I'd be crazy, but I love the film. Unconditionally gushing about the film. And I'm sure a lot of people would be like, God, you're fucking crazy. You love Cyborg this much. I don't give a fuck. I'd rather watch Cyborg than any movie that comes out this year. I'm sorry. That's just my prerogative, and no one has to agree with it. I'm not here to tell people what to do. I'm just here to show my love for films like this. And I'm fine with that. So, thanks for watching. Take care. And didn't know the review would be this long, but hey, it's my second favorite Van Damme film. Why not? Thanks for watching. Take care. Fender fucker. Later.